Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Pupils, I welcome you all to our science lesson. Our topic is making work easy. Our subtopic is force. Bismillah. Pupils, what is force? Force is a pull, push, or a lift of an object. Force is measured in units called newtons. Units are for measuring forces in units, and the instrument we use to measure this force is called the spring balance. Effects of force on an object. Pupils. It makes stationary objects move. It also makes a moving object to stop or increase its moving speed. Force it changes the direction of a moving object, while on the other hand, it changes the shape of an object. Pupils, there are types of force. There are four types of force. They are weight, gravity, friction, and the magnetic. We are starting with number one, which is weight. Weight is the amount of force of gravity acting on an object. Pupils, weight changes from one place to another, place depending on force of gravity. Different bodies have different forces of gravity. For example, Jupiter has a greater force of gravity than Earth. Objects weigh less on the objects weigh less on the mean on the moon than on Earth. This is due to a difference in gravity. Number two is gravity. Gravity it is the force that pulls things towards the center of the earth. Objects fall due to gravity. If you throw a ball upwards, it will come down. Why? Because it is pulled back by the force of gravity. Pupils, falling objects. Objects fall due to gravity. Gravity is a kind of force that pulls things towards the earth. For example, if you throw up an object weighing 4 kilos, another one weighing 1 kilo, and another one weighing 6 kilos, the objects will fall down at the same time. Pupils, if you collect stones or objects of different masses from the same height, drop the different objects at the same height at the same time. You will observe that objects hit the ground. You will observe that which object hits the ground first. What you are going to see is that when stones or objects of different masses are dropped from the same height, they hit the ground at the same time. Then you can conclude and say that the object fell at the same time because of being pulled by the same gravity. Next pupils, next pupils, we are going to see inertia. Pupils, inertia, this is the tendency of an object to remain in its state, whether in motion or at rest. Pupils, there are two types of inertia, namely inertia of rest and inertia of motion. Inertia of rest, this is where objects are not moving and they do not move when motion is started. They tend to remain at rest even if they are moved. Examples are a person sitting on a chair sits down if the chair is abruptly moved. A card with a coin is pulled away abruptly, the coin falls inside the glass. In a pile of coins, if one coin is knocked out, the other coin remains intact in the pile. Suppose we move to inertia of motion. Objects that are moving but continue moving even when motion is stopped. Inertia of motion can be witnessed when a speeding car stops abruptly. The passengers lean forward and then backward. To counter this, passengers are usually advised to fasten their seat belts while traveling. Pupils, if a cyclist brakes abruptly, he falls in front of the bicycle. In the setup, for example, if you put a block on a slope, then you start to move the wood, you will see that inertia of motion how it works. Next, pupils, is friction. Friction, this is the force that opposes motion or movement. What are the advantages or uses of friction? One, walking. The force of friction acting between the feet and the ground enables one to walk. Two, writing. Writing, the force of friction acts between the pen and the paper or chalk and the board to enable us write. Pupils. Number three is friction is very important in racing. The force of friction acts between the rubber and the paper to enable us a race. Four is skating. Skating, the force of friction acts between the tarmac and the roller skirts to enable one to skate. Braking. When brakes are applied, friction is produced between the brake pads and the wheel to stop the wheel from rotating. Lastly, this lighting fire. Friction acts between matchstick and the matchbox to produce heat and eventually lights the matchstick. Lastly, is disadvantages of friction force. Disadvantages of friction force. One, wears out tire, treads and the sole trays. Two, causes blisters on hands. 3. Increases effort required to move. 4. Production of unnecessary sound. And then lastly, but not least, production of unnecessary heat. Pupils, up to that point, we are almost coming to the end. We move to ways of reducing friction. Ways of reducing friction are as follows. 1. Replicating. When we say replicating, it's a process of applying a liquid or a jelly-like substance between surfaces rubbing against each other. It is used to reduce friction between the surfaces. A good example is engine oil and the grease are used as lubricants. 2. Using of ball bearings. Ball bearings are used to reduce friction between two rubbing surfaces. 3. Use of rollers. Rollers are placed between the surface and the load. They are used to reduce friction between the two surfaces. Streamlining. Streamlining pupils is the process of giving an object a specific shape, which makes it move easily through a liquid or a gas. It reduces friction between the object and the liquid or gas through which the object moves. For instance, birds and cars are also streamlining. Aeroplanes are also streamlined to ensure that they fly smoothly. Second last is smoothing the surface. Making a surface smooth reduce friction. Wood surfaces are streamlined using sandpaper to make it more smooth. Lastly, ways of reducing friction. Ravening, ravening the surface such as threading of the tires and the shoe soles. Decreasing the surface area for more air resistance. Increasing the weight by using sticky substances such as adhesive substances having no air trapped inside. Pupils, up to that point, we have come to the end of our lesson about force. Until our next lesson, inshallah, when we are going to talk about the levers, I wish you a good day, a blessed one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.